Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Looper, a series of interviews with financial consultants and industry experts helping financial advisors strategize, market, and grow their business using core fitness values and analogies. Do something today that your future self will thank you for with Get Advisor Fit. Here's your host, Olivia Looper.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Get Advisor Fit. Today, I have Jason Berube here with me of Cornerstone Wealth Consulting Services, LLC in Beverly, Massachusetts. He is a father, a football coach, and comes from a family in the construction industry, which is the niche he serves. So, Cornerstone Wealth Consulting is an independent and privately owned advisory firm helping contractors build wealth, protect their family business for generational growth. So, Jason, I really like your story. I've liked you as long as I've known you, but that's beyond
that's
the point.
Fair.
What I do love about your story is that you recently branched out on your own, which is something we know that a lot of advisors want to do, but don't necessarily have the cojones to do. Okay, let's be honest. Or whatever. It's a big leap to take becoming an entrepreneur. So first of all, I love that about you.
Thank you.
But also I wanted to have you on because you are like a model advisor for somebody like me. I mean, we work with advisors all the time who just, some put in more effort than others. And it's really frustrating from our perspective when we see that there are tools that advisors can utilize that they're not really working on. And you just took everything by the reins and making it happen for yourself. So that's why I wanted you on my show, because I feel like you are good at that. You're good at like just taking charge. So before we get into all that, let's talk about Cornerstone and your family's background in the construction industry and how you decided to serve this niche, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. As you mentioned, getting out on your own takes a lot of courage. And at this point right now, I'm just a sponge in leveraging all the resources I possibly can have to really make this thing work. But to tell you a little bit about Cornerstone, it's been something that I've envisioned for a long time. And the niche I chose is very true and dear to me, right? I come from a long line of family-owned construction company owners. And in fact, I went to a technical high school and I was a mason by trade. Earlier, you mentioned that I was a high school football coach. I actually coach at the high school that I played at. It's been a pretty humbling experience. Great kids, and I love to coach. So, I went to a technical high school. I've been in that blue collar, grew up in that blue collar family. So I started my firm to help those with similar backgrounds to better understand and help build their wealth to benefit the generations to come.
Yes.
And that's just really kind of, the high level of, how Cornerstone came about. Now, I've been in financial services for 13 years, so I've always had some variation of the name as a DBA, and always have served this niche. I come from a long line of family-owned construction companies. But really the name, there's a lot of cornerstones out there. And I want to bring up this point too, because I think it's important to have a story behind the name. I mean, you can Google Cornerstone and you have a Cornerstone Bank, you have a Cornerstone Wealth Management, you have a Cornerstone Financial Partners, you even have a Cornerstone Maintenance Company. Cornerstone seems to be, a popular name. So I felt it is important to have a story behind it. So when we're talking about construction and a building goes up, putting in the cornerstone is a big deal, and people actually celebrate this. It's the foundation of a building. So kind of like your financial plan, whichever framework that we're working off of, whether it's a financial plan or a tax efficiency plan or a roadmap, right? The foundation starts with, the discovery meeting and really laying the framework, just like an architect building a blueprint for a contractor. And then that contractor lays that cornerstone of a financial plan. Financial planning is not too different from that. From a business perspective, Cornerstone means adding value to the company's customers and clients, producing products and services, right? So providing value was something that I built my son early on. I had a coach, Bill Backrat. If I probably butchered his last name there, but values-based financial planning is something that was taught to me early on, which was a concept from through one of my business coaches. So right on our website, my own version of a value-based approach lives right on my website. And I wanted to incorporate that. It's my opening approach when meeting with clients, and it really drives home and really incorporates that showing that providing clients with value is the core of our services. So again, getting back into full circle, Cornerstone Wealth Consulting Services, the name Cornerstone means, so much more than just, a name. There's a story behind it. There's value. And again, we just do so much more that goes beyond the traditional investment management in wealth management. So I felt that, Cornerstone Wealth Consulting Services was an appropriate fit over the alternative, Cornerstone Wealth Management or Cornerstone Financial Group, not to mention similar names already exist out there. So that's kind of how Cornerstone came about.
That's really amazing because, one of the things that we teach advisors in marketing is to have a brand story, right? So
Sure.
Your brand story is your personal background, but also why you chose the name. And that is a way that you connect with people in a service-based industry is to tell these narratives, especially like if you're meeting with a prospect that, you're looking to become a client. These brand stories are actually what sell your services better than talking about your services, because people are ultimately interested in the relationship, and that is what fosters the relationship or these brand stories. So it's really great that you brought that up. So I'm glad that you did.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to have a story to efficiently or effectively articulate, how you provide value. And I think providing massive value goes a long way than just, here's the products and services. We're selling advice. We're not selling products and services. And, I think value provides, a massive impact on the prospects that we meet with today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a great foundation there. But I also noticed that you put out some articles and some press releases.
Sure.
And I was just wondering how you felt that content that you were putting out was helping you to build and generate your business.
Sure. I think, as a soloist, content development is extremely difficult. It really, wait. That's what you do to help, solo practices like myself. But it's difficult. And I think one of the challenging things of content is remembering to do it. That's the biggest thing. And
or not pushing it off the plate when you're get overwhelmed with other things.
Correct.
I'll do it next week. And then it's next month. And you're like, wow, I haven't posted anything in a while. I really need to show up.
So ultimately what I did for that is I worked it into my daily schedule where every morning I kind of, research, read, and try to come up with something relevant to share, whether I create it myself or it's sharing a Forbes article or a Wall Street Journal article, just something to share. So I worked it in my daily calendar to do that on the regular there. But it's been extremely important because one of the things about marketing is you have to be very consistent and have a sequence of things that you're posting. So what I've done, and again, it's funny because, you know what, I'm not the best writer. 20 over 10's content library that's completely customizable, not to put a plug in there for them, but that's been a huge help.
No, I love products.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they've been a huge help. And of course you've helped me along the way as well. So I appreciate all the help that I've gotten. But the way that I approach the content marketing is I try to blog somewhere between 6 to 8 times a month. And 4 of those are weekly newsletters that go to existing clients only. Now, you know, I'm 1 year in. I've always serviced the construction industry niche, but my clients walk all forms of life here. They have all certain kinds of careers. I have business owners. I have executives. I have, you know, cops and nurses, right?
Yeah, of course.
So when I post a newsletter or send a personal newsletter, now only my clients get the newsletter, but the newsletter lives on my website. But when I send out the newsletter, it's basically on current or trending topics to stay top of mind with my existing clients. Like, hey, Jason's my advisor. You know, I heard my friend talking about Bitcoin last week, and Jason just sent me in my weekly newsletter an article about Bitcoin. So it's to stay top of mind of my existing clients. It also lives on my website, so prospects can see that and say, oh, maybe he does know what he's talking about, right?
Yes.
And then on the other 2 or 3 blogs a month that I do is very niche specific. So it might be, you know, tax efficient strategies for high earnings, or, you know, looking to set up a 401k for your small business. Here are the steps to do so. So it's very niche specific to the business owner market, and I try to niche down very hard with about 2 or 3 blogs a month, which also lives on my website. So if you bring this all back in the full circle, you know, you're blogging times a month. I think the stat is actually 11. I just don't have time to do 11.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own thoughts about that number, but you know,
sure. But again, to bring it back,
6 is very good. I mean, that's a high number for an advisor, and so
and again, I've had some help along the way. You know, again with and content library that's completely customizable is great. Also, you know, an hour every single morning doing some research and trying to develop my own content and post something relevant. And again, whether it's a Wall Street Journal post or not. With that being said, again, to bring that back in the full circle, from an SEO standpoint, you know, when these newsletters and blogs are living on your website, it makes you searchable, right? So
if people are searching for these things, your website will come up as a resource.
Sure. Yeah, it will absolutely come up as a resource. And the SEO, you know, it's just, you know, makes it come up as a resource as the website. So it really helps with the overall brand in getting the message out there. It shows some qualitative characteristics, reaching out to clients and staying top of mind, but also there's some quantitative characteristics there where, like, I'm kind of showing that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm kind of really recognition for, you know, a larger audience.
Yes. So to speak to these points, this is exactly why I wanted to bring you on the show, because these are things you have a great understanding of things that I typically have to teach advisors that come to me. And I think this is honestly because you are a go-getter. We already know that. 2, you are active on social media. So you see, okay, you follow these 20 over 10s and other pages and other marketing companies, and you understand these concepts because of content marketing done by them. So you have engaged with their content and you have thus learned from it. So then you have seen, okay, this is the model. This is what I'm going to do, but for my clients. So I'm going to put out information, whether that be through email, social media, or, you know, what have you, that you are going to share this information, the qualitative and the quantitative, show that you know what you're talking about, add value, have some key takeaways that people can go away with to promote yourself as an advisor. And so I love that you look every morning, because I do the same thing. I go to on my Stairmaster, looking on my phone, looking for stuff that I can share or bookmark or say, oh, I should post about this one day. And I put it in my notes, like right in my phone, just make a note. You know, I have a list of ideas, a list of things that I want to share. And that is super simple. Anybody can do that. You can do it while you're just sorry, but you're on the toilet. I mean, I hate that analogy, but people say they don't have time. There's plenty, like, how much time do you spend scrolling on your phone through useless crap? Look for something that's going to help your business. Spend
Absolutely.
5 minutes commenting on 3 people's posts on LinkedIn. You know, it's just a few minutes here and there. It can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
So I love that. And also I wanted to point out how great this is that you're mentioning about the emails that go out once a week. A lot of my advisor clients or people who come to me as prospects are wondering how much content is too much content to put out. And in the 3 years I've been doing this, it has exponentially risen the expectation of how much content people are supposed to put out. Like you said, they say advisors who put out 11 blogs a month see like some ridiculous amount of traffic. But I mean, to be honest, I don't know if you know, this is good for SEO. It's good for a lot of things. Obviously, the more you put out, content is just consumed and consumed and consumed. I mean, there really is not too much. There's not really too much. I mean, I personally, my financial advisor sends out once a week, and I know it's going to come on Friday, and I look forward to reading it. And that's not just because I write about finances all day long. It's because I want to know what he has to say about what's going on. So another thing that you said, it's timely. It's about stuff that's happening. You know, if inflation is in the news, we're going to talk about inflation. The Fed's tapering is in the news, we're going to talk about the Fed's tapering. Bitcoin, whatever, meme stocks, whatever the name 100 hot trending type financial topics, and your clients are going to want to know about it. So if you're already there showing up, that shows that you are engaged in all of these things and keeping them informed. And that's what they want from their financial advisor. So kudos to you. See, people are out there doing it who don't actually pay for other people to do their marketing. So it can be done. If you could give one piece of advice to advisors going out and doing their own marketing like you, what would it be?
Well, I would have to say it's very difficult to do it yourself. But the key component to it is just putting yourself out there, because you can't get noticed otherwise if you're not putting yourself out there. And to stay consistently doing it and consistently putting yourself out there, it's the best advice I can give. Because again, without putting yourself out there, you can't get noticed. And have intent when you're putting yourself out there. Have a client avatar. Have a niche. I get asked a question all the time, you know, do you think if niching down, you're leaving business on the table? Well, absolutely. But I don't want to work with everyone.
Yes.
You know, so I don't want to work with everyone. And I'm trying to build something here that is bigger than myself, that I can, you know, once I'm long gone, Cornerstone's still around, and it's something my family can be proud of. And that's really where my marketing stems from, and really why I chose to dive in so deeply into a specific niche. Not only do I come from a blue collar family in the construction industry, but, you know, behind every small business owner is a family. And not only do they need to navigate in the complexities of finance, both personally and in business. So it's just put yourself out there, choose a niche, and go at it hard, or else you're not going to get noticed. And that, you know, the alternative.
Yes. So, I mean, even like with my own marketing personally, you know, the more I show up, the more calls that get booked through my website. It's just,
absolutely,
it's not complicated. It really isn't. And none of the content that I produce really, I mean, okay, that's a lie. It's time consuming, but
Sure.
I find the time because that is a priority of mine, is building my business, making my family proud, helping advisors who need it. And like you said, no, you don't want to serve everybody. So I even have a niche within the financial advisor industry, and that's, independent RIAs. I don't work with broker dealers, or, any of the big wirehouse kind of places. I find that these type, advisors like yourself are the ones that add the most value. So I want to help the ones that I believe in. And that's just the kind of financial planning that I believe in, is values-based financial planning. That covers all the bases, the tax drag management, investment management, and, the life planning and estate planning, and just really that whole comprehensive package that, I think, changes people's lives. So, yes. So, and I mean, it's a great point that you brought that up about people who get so worried about if they're leaving business on the table. And the answer is possibly yes, probably yes, but that's okay, because that leaves room for a client that you want and subsequently can help the best. So, it's a win-win. It really is, even though it's scary, but
this industry is so crowded. It's a big industry, but it's also a small world. And, I think it's very important that, when you niche down, you have to understand that you're going to leave business on the table, but that's okay, because, that's for another advisor to handle.
And there are plenty of them out there.
There is. It's such a large industry, but it's such a small world at the same time. And it is important to niche down, and have that ideal client in that ideal, and have that client avatar. So you have your market, you niche down, but then what does that ideal client look like within that niche? Because, early on in my career, when I had a sales manager say, "Hey, pick a niche," and I'm like, "Okay, business owners." Well, what does that mean?
And there's so many different pockets within business owner too.
That's right. And then that's something you don't understand as an advisor sometimes, when you're marketing is like, okay, I want to work with business owners or entrepreneurs. Well, everyone's an entrepreneur. Do you want to work with a Mary Kay rep? Like, I don't know.
Right.
So, or do you want to work with barbers, which is a very lucrative niche? Barbers need help too. I've considered that along the way, because I like to get a haircut every week. So I'm there often. So why can't that be a niche? So but it's also, to bring that thought forward, having a specialty too. So in our practice, we focus on the tax consultant front, helping these construction company owners or contractors who own these family businesses reduce taxes, so that they can build more wealth tax efficiently and protect their family business for generational growth. And that's our voice at a high level. It's our specialty. We focus on a very specific planning process, which I created a brochure for, the Builders Tax Reduction Program. It's really a 3-step process on how to reduce your taxes and build more wealth. And by marketing that and niching down and having a client avatar, who cares if I'm not working with the business owner that owns a 7-Eleven on the corner store? That's not who I want to work with. So I think, once advisors get past that roadblock of, well, I'm going to leave business on the table if I niche down, they're going to see their practice grow. I mean, it certainly has helped my practice grow.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And one point that I was thinking about in what you're talking about is, I don't know why I thought of this, but you said, so we're talking about showing up, right? Being consistent, not gaining visibility, and just not being afraid to put yourself out there, There is a benefit to putting yourself out there. I have seen lots of advisors who have great digital marketing funnels who lead people through to book a call or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, I mean, we did a lot of things like blogging and, getting published in different places, and we created, lead magnet and things like this. And there was lots of leads, but because the advisor didn't really put themselves out there, he wasn't able to close a lot of the sales or relationships because he ended up being someone that a lot of, he was a very particular kind of guy. And, it was like a mystery, right? So he was like a mystery advisor.
Sure.
So when they showed up to like the prospect call or the Zoom or whatever, they were like, he was having a hard time at that juncture because he didn't put himself out there. They didn't know what to expect. So the side effect, the benefit to putting all of yourself out there up front is that the people who don't like you aren't going to call you and waste your time.
Correct.
So they'll know who you are. They'll see you. They'll say, okay, I think I would like to work with him or her. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean you're going to close 100% of the relationships that you talk to, but it does weed out people that aren't going to want to work with you. You might as well know. I mean, we don't want to, I personally would want someone to self-select and just say, I don't think that her personality fits mine. I don't think that her service model fits what I'm looking for, and not book the call. Because
absolutely,
that time is all that we can't get it back. So the benefit is that it attracts the people that you want and detracts the people that you don't want or aren't going to like you anyways.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
So, that's kind of cool there. But so I guess, this has been a really great conversation, and I just want to know, like, what are you looking forward to, like, with the business personally, 2022 and beyond, 5 year, 10, like, what is it that you look forward to most with Cornerstone and just yourself, Jason?
Sure. Well, I think what I'm most excited for, in 2022, I took it as a personal, accomplishment was, I'm 38 now. It's been a while since I've been graduated from my undergrad. One of my personal achievements for 2022 is going to be completing the CHFC program at the American College. It's the hybrid program, so it satisfies the CFP education requirement, so I can sit for the board exam while earning the CHFC Chartered Financial Consulting designation. But I've been enjoying that professional development personally, that I've decided to parlay that into getting my master's in finance. That's always been a bucket list of mine. Working for a large insurance-based broker dealers and middle management, running sales teams all over New England. I never really saw a need for the CFP or even my master's in finance, because why? I've enjoyed, being in school for that program, and it is a certificate designation program, and it's a one course every 10 weeks. But it has really sparked my interest back in self-development, where I'm 38 now. Really would like to accomplish that bucket list and check that off the bucket list, and having my master's in finance, and there's several other designations that I would like to, that is again getting back to brand awareness and building up Cornerstone, that is niche specific to my clientele. So there are some other designations. So I guess what I'm trying to say at a high level, and to bring this all back in the full circle, is that it's professionally, looking forward to obtaining the CHFC personally has really sparked a new self-development in me, taking these classes that, I'm really excited for beyond 2022, and taking and going to school for my master's in finance. And then as far as Cornerstone, it's bigger than myself, and that's why I started it. I started it in my home office. But my vision is bigger than myself. My vision is that this is going to be around a lot longer than or long after I'm gone, so that my family can be proud of it. So the marketing efforts that I do now is to really build, a nationally recognized firm that is just going to be around for generations. And we talk about it with my clientele. We're a multi-generational firm. We're trying to reduce tax for these contractors, these construction entrepreneurs, reduce tax to build more wealth, and protect their family business for generational growth. And I want the same thing for Cornerstone.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love this. I'm just a sucker for the generational thing because, I just wish that, personally, that I had learned more from my parents and grandparents. When I was growing up, it was like, money is not something that the kids need to worry about. Like that's, we take care of the money and the kids are kids. And then you grow up and they pass away and you're like, what do I do with all this money? Yeah. I don't know. And you don't know who to trust. Right. So like, I was like, when my mother passed away, I was in my 20s. And I think I went to someone that I would never choose today. And looking back, I understand what she does because I work in our industry and she was trying to sell me financial products. Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't sign on with her. But I ultimately didn't end up signing on with anybody and made some terrible mistakes. Since, that have been ameliorated, but whatever, that's not the point. The point is that, it's confusing enough as it is. So when you take a generational approach, it's really about protecting your family and your children and Correct. Not just your assets. It's like, yes, it protects your assets for the use of your children in the next generations, but it protects them. So, they don't just have no idea what the hell they're doing with it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a great approach. And it helps to protect everyone. And as the grant guarantee, the person bequeathing the money to the heirs, gives you peace of mind. So, I mean, I heard someone say recently on social media, like, the question to ask about your financial advisor is whether or not you would trust them to look out for your spouse's best interest if you died.
That's a good question.
And if you can't answer yes to that, then you have no business working with that advisor. So I think the generational approach is very smart and not just smart, but I mean, it's the right thing to do, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So Jason, thank you so much for your time. It is always great to connect with you. If you'd like to learn more about Jason and Cornerstone, go to his website at cornerstonewealthllc.com or connect with him on social media. If you want to connect with me and my team, you can find us at Lexicon Content Development on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. To hear past episodes, visit the Get Advisor Fit tab on our website. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get all the latest tips from the greatest financial services industry experts around. We're always here to help you guys. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Jason, and see you next time.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Looper. To learn more about Olivia and how her firm, Lexicon Content Development, can help you, visit lexiconcontentdevelopment.com. If you want to reach out to Olivia on LinkedIn, you can find her at Olivia Looper Lexicon. And if you'd like to follow Olivia on Instagram, you can find her at Lexicon Content Development. Till next time.